Well, on day one, let's go visit the Piazza Navona and the Pantheon. We're taking a little orientation walk. This is our first day. We've just arrived and heading to one of the great spots in the city, the Piazza Navona, with its picture postcard perfect Sant'Agnese Church by Borromini and the stunning Fountain of the Four Rivers by Bernini. Two artists that you will encounter several more times in Rome, Bernini and Borromini, as they were the greatest of Baroque architects and sculptors. This centrally located piazza is considered one of the most beautiful and lively outdoor spaces in the world, and you will probably return here several times, for it is interesting night and day. Originally built as a racetrack by the ancient Roman Emperor Domitian, it still retains the original oval shape that gives it a unique appearance. Lined with restaurants and palaces, the Piazza Navona is enclosed by faded pastel facades all around that produce a rich feeling of antiquity. Well, you probably don't want to have a meal sitting here at the Piazza Navona because these restaurants are notoriously touristic. It's not a bad place though to just sit and have a drink, or certainly hang out in the center. You'll notice lots of artists have set up their easels. They can do a quick sketch of you. Maybe you'd like a caricature of yourself. Make yourself look kind of goofy. It could be done in a pastel or in a charcoal black and white. You can talk with the artist and negotiate the price and discuss the style, or perhaps just a straightforward portrait to make yourself look better than a photograph. And there are many other kinds of arts that you can purchase here. There's watercolors, there's oil paintings, and the wonderful thing is these are original works of art and you're buying it directly from the artist. There's no middleman involved. Often when we're traveling, we want to shop and buy something special. Well, what could be more special than an original painting of the city that you're visiting, especially when it's a city as beautiful as Rome. This neighborhood just behind the Piazza Navona keeps going. You can wander for another couple hours in that direction. Oh, you often run into these furniture restoration fellows, and back into our little alleys, carrying on with our walk, which leads us to the Castel Sant'Angelo with a nice view across the Tiber River looking to St. Peter's. Ponte St. Angelo, the beautiful bridge of the angels, crossing the Tiber and lined with Bernini's divine marble statues of angels. The bridge is foundations of an ancient Roman bridge, and it's a good place to do a little shopping. They've always got the sidewalk merchants there. Well, now we're going to amble along some of the wonderful back lanes in the historic center of Rome, passing by the Pantheon, the great nearly 2,000-year-old temple to all the gods. We'll have another look at the Pantheon later. For now, we're just admiring it briefly and then walking along through more of these terrific back lanes. You'll find some street entertainment, some musicians playing glasses perhaps, or fiddles or accordions. Here's a cheap meal. Sit down at a bench outside a pizzeria, eat a slice, or sit at a nice restaurant at a sidewalk location. Take your pick. There's so many choices here. Well, walking through these little back streets is certainly one of the great joys of visiting Rome. And just a block over from the Pantheon, you'll come across this ancient-looking temple. Actually, the columns date back to the time of the Emperor Hadrian. We're in the Piazza di Pietra. This was the stock exchange in the 19th century, and now it's an occasional art gallery. While continuing our amble along these very pleasant little pedestrian lanes, we're about to cross over the busy Via del Corso, and just on the other side you come across this row of kiosks selling all manner of tourist souvenirs. There's prints and posters, postcards, books, little bits of sculpture and some fine art, and all kinds of wonderful things to take a browse at. Now we're continuing up the Via del Corso. This is the main shopping street of the city. And it's a little odd. You have to watch out for the traffic here. Notice the pedestrians just crossing right amidst the cars. There's no crosswalks there, but everybody just does it, so follow the locals. And along the Corso, you can walk in the street carefully or up on the sidewalk. And then turning into some of these wonderful nearby shopping lanes. There's, in particular, the Via del Croce. This is a perfect street. Pedestrian-oriented, there's sidewalk restaurants, bicycles going by, locals are hanging out. You can go into a wine bar or cafe, and there's various shops along the way here. And it's in a terrific part of town that's generally called Spagna. We're near the Spanish Steps. And this Via della Croce has got everything. And it leads right over to the Piazza di Spagna and the magnificent Spanish Steps. What a staircase. This is another one of the great gathering spots of Rome. There are a handful of these places in the city. There's Piazza Navona, there's Campo dei Fiori, and certainly the Spanish Steps, one of the great places to hang out and do some people watching. We'll come back here later on in the program and show you a little bit more of it. But for now, we're continuing our walk along these lovely little back streets, returning over to the Corso as it's getting dark. It's about 8:30, 9 o'clock now. Some shops are still open along the Corso since it's the busiest shopping street of the city. But most of the shops have closed now and people are heading for the restaurants. Or maybe into this Galleria, a newly reopened and refurbished grand structure. Or over to the Trevi Fountain. This is the other great gathering spot of the city. And nighttime, daytime, there are hundreds, if not thousands of people here at Trevi all the time. It's one of the truly greatest fountains in the world. It looks like natural bedrock, but of course it was all sculpted by the artist Nicola Salvi. And here's some young lovers. They think they've got a little secluded niche there, but there's so many hundreds of people out. Nobody seems to care anyway. Everybody wants to get their photographs at the Trevi and throw their coins in the fountain. One coin for a wish and a second coin for a return to Rome. That's the ritual here at Trevi. Meanwhile, this couple thinks they're in the dark, but hundreds of people could be watching the show if anybody cared to. But public passion is part of everyday life in this romantic city. The steps here at Trevi make a great little amphitheater for watching the show, checking out the people, getting their pictures taken. Hand your camera off to a trusted stranger perhaps and they'll snap it for you. And then we continue our walk along more of these lovely pedestrian streets, all emanating out from the center here, passing again that shopping kiosk and more of these sidewalk restaurants. Well, now we're back over at Piazza di Pietro with those old columns from the days of Hadrian, just passing through, passing the Pantheon again. This is a evening wander. We're just ambling around, rattling around on these little pedestrian streets in the heart of Rome. You might consider having dinner in front of the Pantheon at night. There are about 5 restaurants, and some of them really do seem to cater to the locals. So I'm sure you could find some decent food and a wonderful atmosphere here sitting in the Piazza della Rotonda in the evening. What could be better than this? A building that's 2,000 years old in perfect condition. Or keep walking. The alleys are inviting. They're very safe. Quite a few shops stay open late beyond the normal 8 p.m. closing time. Now we're walking along Via de Giubbanari. This is a wonderful little shopping lane. Mostly the shops here do close down about 8 p.m. So you want to pay attention to the timing if you want to buy something. Or maybe there'll be a sidewalk guy set up. And Giubbanari leads right into the Campo dei Fiori, which is another one of the most spectacular of the evening gathering spots in the heart of Rome. You've got wine shops and bakeries and delis, and especially the sidewalk cafes here at the Campo dei Fiori. In the morning, it's a vegetable market, And at midday, you can have lunch at the restaurants, and the evening, of course, you can have dinner or just sit back and have some drinks. And then keep walking. The streets all around this neighborhood of the Campo di Fiori are perfect for that evening stroll, the aimless stroll. Maybe stop and get some gelato along the way, or just grab a slice of pizza, a simple sandwich, or a wonderful meal.